Hello and welcome to Let's Play as Reinhardt. Instead of doing another boring playthrough as I did with Carrie, I figured we'd do a narrated playthrough of Reinhardt since I don't think anyone has any footage of this whip-wielding Richter clone anywhere on the internet. Now obviously they tried to follow Rondo of Blood's path to success with this game because in Castlevania 64 you just had Reinhardt and Carrie who were representative of Richter and Maria Reinhardt respectively. But this time, they've done a few more changes, although they tried to copy Rondo of Blood a lot. And you get this same introduction scene, except they cut the voice out, probably to make room for all the new features in Legacy of Darkness. In the mid-19th century, the province of Wallachia, in this time of peace and plenty, no one foresees the return of skeletons on motorcycles. A darkness of fog. I was poking at the level design in that one, by the way. Seriously, go to the Hedge Mage level. I dare you. And when you get done with Malice, follow that path. The fog is so thick. Reinhard Schneider. Maybe one of the reasons they retconned this from the storyline for a while was that they decided to name the guy Reinhardt Schneider. In the original beta version, he was Schneider Belmont. I think if they would have kept that, Iragashi would have been more inclined to keep this game as part of the series canon. Here's another Rondo of Blood reference they threw into Legacy of Darkness alone. It's the fisherman guy that takes you out. Except instead of taking you to the other side, he just lets you climb up an anchor chain on a boat floating in the middle of a lake for some reason. I never really figured out what was up with Reinhardt's hair. The front of it has sort of a alfalfa thing going on. It's like he slicked his bangs to go straight up back in the air like some sort of rhinoceros horn. This is actually his alternate costume in Legacy of Darkness as opposed to the Simon Belmont lookalike costume they gave him in Castlevania 64 as an alternate. Now somehow by killing lizards you cause a platform to come out of the side of the wall of the ship. You know, if Dracula were smart, he would make it so that the first level had no way to get up there. Or he would have just torn that platform out, and thus Reinhardt's quest would have ended on the boat because he would have had no way to get up to that second part to rotate the mast, find the key, and continue into the deck of the ship. Also, you would think Dracula would use more red skeletons than he does, because, I mean, you can't kill. And if he really wanted to do away with the Belmonts, he should just, like, make a trap in his castle that leads to a room filled with red skeletons. Because, I mean, they just get back up. You can't kill them. Although I believe you can in Castlevania 64, so maybe that was why he didn't do that in Legacy of Darkness. To bang my head on the mast a few times. Just for the satisfaction of doing so and not feeling pain. Alright, you grab the deck key. Reinhardt's a deck for hitting that guy. And we proceed to enter the deck. There's a skeleton on an elevator waiting on us. I am curious as to how they power said elevator on a ship floating out in the middle of a lake. The water is really annoying. It's worse than those lizards in Castlevania 4 that knocked you off into the water. And Reinhardt can't swim either, don't get me wrong. He's just as dumb as Simon when it comes to matters of the water. Other than holy water. And there's another slew of lizard men for me to hack apart. Oh, and a power-up, too. In this game, they actually made Reinhardt's whip power levels look different as opposed to Castlevania 64, where you just had whip, whipper whip, and whippest whip. Now you actually go from leather whip to chain whip to laser whip, as opposed to just putting various degrees of streaking red behind it. Now, if the following event didn't happen, this room would really serve no purpose. And he looks right up into the falling dust so he can get some in his eye. It is quite funny how the water level stops rising after a certain point, despite it being constantly flowing in. You actually have unlimited time to get out of here, which I don't know why it would take you that long to get out of here. There's a few little hidden power-ups you can get over here. Now this also bugs me, is this door in the side of the ship. I don't know what purpose having a door there would serve. Unless it were a ship that was going to be in a video game where you got down to the bottom and a monster drove its claw through the side of the ship and it started to fill with water and you had to climb up into the rafters and use the door to get out. Also notice that by the positioning of the boat in the water, the door he just came out of should have been completely submerged. Also, he's magically standing on a plank as opposed to swimming to shore from the open door on the side of the ship he just jumped out of. Anyway, there's some crates in the water, and we'll take them as a path. It's turning into Resident Evil. We're going to be pushing them before we know it. And as always, when you find a chicken leg outside on the docks in the moonlight, you pick it up. Now here's another Rondo of Blood influence. This boss looks very similar to the boss from the alternate Stage 1 path in Rondo of Blood. I'm sure you can look that up somewhere. I know there's a guy who does a lot of Let's Play of this game. A guy goes by the name of Evil Tim. You can find his videos on Vidler. And he has a Castlevania Rondo of Blood long play where you can see this boss in Rondo of Blood. Or at least the boss where they drew the inspiration for this one from. And I'm actually doing moderately well. I played this boss, the last time I played it, I was on hard mode, so I didn't do quite as well. I think they increased the attack range for his grab attack on hard mode because it gets you a lot easier. Anyway, now it's time for the Forest of Silence, so please check the next video. After getting roast beef from a statue.